Okay, so for this project I have for English, I'm going to do kind of a different style of blog today. Blog. Why do I always say blog? Vlog today. You guys, and my professor as well, sorry to adjust the camera while I'm talking, get to watch me show how I put my other flower arrangements for my English project together. It really doesn't sound that exciting when I say it like that. But basically, what I've got left in terms of spare flowers is yellow lilies, calla lilies, just two of them sadly, but that's all Walmart had, and red carnations. They're all fake because obviously real flowers would have died by now. That being said, I do have dry thorns in one of my arrangements, but I'll talk about it a little bit later. But essentially for all of these arrangements that I did, I had to decide, well, what flowers do I want on the base layer. I pretty much just did a layering style of arranging for all of these because I couldn't really figure out how to make it work otherwise. I tried incorporating these carnations into my other pieces, and I did manage to get them in for the more springish one because they're bright colored and all. But for the one that I did with more negative connotation and darker themes, the red just was killing it, so I decided against using them. I don't actually need this carnation. These were kind of a pain to work with, these flowers. Not so much because they don't, you know, fit together or whatever, but because they all came in like clusters on a single stem and then spread out into these individual stems. So I had to go through and cut them all loose and change their lengths and to fit the base and the height that I wanted them to be and things like that. Plus they made a humongous mess on my floor and I was not pleased, but I guess that's kind of unavoidable with art. I know it is, but you know, nobody wants plastic grass and thorns and stuff all over their dorm room floor. You never clean it up. You never get all of it. But basically, I just did this layering type of thing. Once again, I could probably get closer to the camera than I am. This is my second take. The first one didn't turn out too well, so I figured I'd just redo it. But what I did, I'm actually going to leave these 4 lilies. It looks a little less messy than the first time I did it. A lot of stuff I had to consider was mostly just basic artistic principles that a floral designer or something would have to think about when making, you know, a custom arrangement for an event or for just a general customer or whatever. Like height, size, colors, because colors can have a lot of different meanings depending on who's looking at them and what culture is looking at them and stuff like that, so you kind of have to be mindful of it. But since everybody kind of operates on the same connotations in this country, I'm not really worrying about it, especially since these are basically personal works once this project is over. So that's basically how I put together my other arrangements, to sort of seeing what works, putting flowers in layers on top of each other, things like that. I don't have more flowers. I wish I did. I have these black roses, but they don't really fit in with the rest of these spares that I have, so I'm not going to worry about them. They're also pretty cheesy. I don't know if you can see it, but there's glitter all over them and stuff like that, so I'm not going to use them. In terms of my, sorry to be out of the frame, other arrangements, when it came to how to put them together, the base actually involved a lot of that, because you can see like this one is more tall and free form and top heavy. Like it really draws attention to the top of it, and then you kind of notice the base afterwards. Color had a lot to do with the flowers I used for this as well, like the green thorns and the dark purple and black roses. These roses are a little bit less cheap looking. They actually look like roses. Thing is, roses don't come in black, so I was taking a little bit of an artistic license there with those, but I figure, you know, it's not a real arrangement, and they worked for the theme of this, which is more dark and negative, and maybe something somebody would use for like a Halloween event or whatever. This is probably my favorite of the two, just because of how loose and kind of, it's like loose, but it's still structured, so that made me happy that I could be kind of random and creative with it and still have it pulled together and look functional as a piece. As for my other one, that was a little more generic, because I was a little shorter on time for it. It was just, I was like, well, it's spring, the shops have a lot of spring flowers and Easter flowers, and let's face it, spring arrangements are fun because you can just go crazy with color like I did here. But even then, I tried to keep the colors flowing, you know, using similar shades. And then with this one, you can see that I layered from the top up, but I went with more patterns than I did with the other one. There's a lot less just sporadic installments of random plants and stuff like that, and not as much as sticking off it, because like I actually managed to incorporate the little red ones in the bottom here. Then I just went and stuck things between them, and then kept making patterns with the plants up to the center here. It's kind of hard to see because it's in the top, but let me see, maybe I can do that. See, like that, there's a ring of that purple stuff, and then the daffodils. I don't actually know what the purple flowers are called, I've forgotten. But I don't think anybody else would know anyway, so unless you're like a botanist and you're watching my blog, in which case that's cool, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. Flower beading, not really important for this one. It's just a general spring type of arrangement where I played with color more than connotations, and, you know, I tried to be a little more structured. I sound a little repetitive, but I guess I'm not being repetitive. But other than that, these weren't too difficult to pull together. They were very messy, and they did take a lot of time to get the materials. Fake flowers are very expensive, so I probably wouldn't go into looking at floristry for another project that would be this involved. But for this in particular, I did have fun with it, and it was kind of entertaining to me to be able to make things in the same way that a floral designer would, since I am considering that as a career, possibly maybe a temporary career, maybe long term, I'm not sure yet. But it was nice that I was able to, along with making arrangements, be able to interview actual florists, figure out more about what the job demands, basically. But other than that, I don't really have much more to say about this arrangement or my other ones. So I think I'll just cut it here.